starts spinning and we will be live soon.
Oh, cool.
We'll be ready to go. Here we go, Bentley. Here we go. Is it? 10 ready.
So you got people
We've
waiting.
got people waiting to watch it.
Because you always do it about 5.
Yeah, roughly. Here we go. Let's turn this down. There we are. Good afternoon. We are live. I am joined by John Blaine here in the studio. We've already done a couple of videos. We've done a fixture reaction video, and we have done, basically I've just grilled John about Moshiri taking the extra shares and things about the stadium and just some of that kind of stuff. And we had a good talk. John done some fantastic answers on terms of why ticketing costs may increase or how you offset it and all of that kind of thing. So make sure you check that video. It'll be out later. We're here now. Any questions, get them in. John will answer them as best he can. Ask us anything as always. But first of all, just the fixtures. I know we've done a separate video, but just a quick...
Can I just stop you?
Stop.
Throw you out of... No,
go
start
on.
again.
Yeah, go on.
Because I'm fascinated. I've never done this live thing before.
Go on.
So that monitor down there
Yeah.
is what the camera's seeing.
That's
and
us.
that on there is what the audience is seeing.
Yeah.
And there's a delay between the two.
There will be, yes. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about that.
I'm just trying to figure out what the delay is. How
No,
long
it's
is it?
fine. It's
How
fine.
long's the delay?
I don't know, John. I'm
I'm just curious.
I know you are.
Okay.
Here we go. Gary Ward, howdy. He's from watching in America.
Where about
How you
the
guys?
States,
Yeah,
are
where
you?
about, Gary? Just give us an answer there, because John has just come back from America last week. So
Yeah, I was in Colorado and South Dakota and went through Wyoming and getting from one to the
and
other.
you're in New Orleans.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Louisiana as well then.
I
Yeah.
mean, literally, I
Sorry.
wasn't there, but I know that you were there because you sent me a picture.
So you need to tell us where you
So
live.
Gary, let us know where you are. Toffee 96. Do you think the club? We spoke about this before. Do you think the club preferred the site in Croxteth for our new stadium because it was much easier to build, but opted for Bramley Moor due to the fan base?
I'm not sure the club did prefer it, did it?
I don't know. He's just that.
Yeah. No, I think, and I've spoken to Bill, of course, and I think it's a dream ticket being on the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey.
Okay.
And I think actually the club has shown a huge amount of financial commitment, which ultimately becomes risk, by paying a significant premium for being on the site that we're going to be on. So those people who say we should show some ambition, I think the site alone is an expression of ambition.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we did say before, I don't know whether we said it on the video or when we were talking off camera, and we have said it before, it would have been easier to go to Croxteth.
Oh yeah, it would.
Wouldn't it? and a lot cheaper.
Probably would be the correct corporate decision.
Yeah.
Because you would have a lower build cost, and therefore your debt would be lower.
Yeah.
But your income would probably be, if the stadium size was the same. I can't imagine we're going to have ticket prices that are higher because the stadium's in a nice place.
No.
So a corporate decision might have been to be on a brownfield site where you're not going to get any challenges from heritage and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The access would be easy because of the East Lancs and all that stuff. And therefore, you know, the club, and it is true, whatever people say, the site is more challenging. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a club-based decision, and the fans are part of that. And I'm sure if they'd asked us a binary question, do you want to be in Croxteth or do you want to be on the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey? There wouldn't be, unless you live in Croxteth, you might not have picked that one.
Well, we did the poll, just a basic one of, I think the wording was, would you rather have had 65 to 70,000 at Croxteth or 52 at Bramley Moor?
Oh, right.
And it was 95% at Bramley Moor.
Yeah.
I think that it was something like 8 to 10,000 people.
Devil's in the detail.
It is, because obviously if we would have said 60, 70,000 at Croxteth for 250 million and 300 million can go on players, or 50,
which is what I said when you told me before.
55 at but 600 million, and you know, it would have probably. Gary's watching in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's right, Gary. He watches all the time. Top man. Fidel and White. Hi, fellas. One for John. Now Moshiri has increased his shares again. What does this mean in terms of what he can do now that he couldn't before, or is there nothing different really?
What's that thing we did before? Is that your daily?
That's not the day. That's just a
no, because you asked me that question before.
I did. It's just a Business Matters video that'll be out later.
Okay.
All stuff, but you can answer the.
Yeah, no, I'm going to answer it anyway.
A quick version for Fidel now.
Yeah, save you watching the other one.
Well, no, what's the other one as well, John?
No,
part of this. You should probably be selling it better.
Yeah. No, it doesn't to Farhad, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. I mean, it limits the potential for somebody else acquiring a significant amount of shares. Lord Grantchester would have been, at the time he sold, at the time of the sale, the second largest shareholder, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So yeah, but he can't do anything now he couldn't do before. Yeah. He's just closer to being able to do things. You know, if he ever, which he's told me more than once, that he has no intention of buying everybody's shares, then obviously he's a bit closer to that. Now 9% closer, or whatever it is, 8 point something.
8.6,
but no, it doesn't allow him to do anything really that he couldn't have done anyway.
Just a demonstration of commitment.
There's some technical things, like he can change, you know, articles and things like that, but nothing hugely material to us lot anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stephen Kelly, all right, Baz and John. Hi, Steve. Steve watches every day.
I know Steve.
Top man.
It was the Steve, I know it.
I don't know whether it is. They might. Got to say,
big tall lad?
No, it's not that Steve. Another Steve.
Wrong Steve.
Although he might be dead, so he's coming in next week. I'll tell you next week. He'll be taller than me, probably. Got to say, John, you have great insight about Everton Football Club. Always enjoy listening to you. Do you think when we get the new stadium, it will affect the club's spending power? It's something I asked before.
Have you preloaded these questions?
No. Albeit like it did with Spurs and Arsenal.
Clearly, it could do. I mean, I suppose the objective way to think about it is, and we talked about this, that probably was offline, wasn't it? While we were having it. While you were setting these cameras up and stuff. If we move to a new stadium, clearly we're going to attract some debt, which maybe whatever it is, 25 to repay. 25-30 million pounds a year or something. Then clearly the stadium, just moving to the stadium, we're going to have to generate through whatever means, be it commercial, naming right, whatever it might be, the equivalent of 25 to 30 million pounds a year. Just to get back on a level playing field again. Therefore, we have to generate more than that for it to be viable to actually increase the amount of money that we can spend on players. Inevitably, if we get ourselves into a situation whereby, for whatever reason, the income from the new stadium isn't as high as we hoped, then we could be in a situation, could we not, where we've got the increased debt, but we haven't increased the income enough to pay it. Therefore, we'd be in a worse place. Wouldn't we?
Yes.
And we already lose money. Yeah, as you will find out when the accounts come out. So I'm sure that's not what the business case says. And the business case will say that we will have better commercial income, partially because we've got a new stadium. You know, people will want the glory of being associated with it. Clearly, the biggest glory is some naming rights, which would be nice if they could get that. But Tottenham haven't got any yet.
No.
Yeah. And then we need to generate greater matchday income.
I suppose
which means high ticket prices. So.
Well, yeah, there will be high ticket prices, but
inevitably,
I suppose also
inevitably,
in terms of where the question is over the capacity, I wonder if the club have taken in, and they must have done, taken into account the increase that every club gets from going to a new stadium. Sunderland went from 17,000 at Roker Park to 47,000 at the stadium.
Arsenal went from 37 to 60. Oh, they're in London. You know what I mean?
Tottenham have gone from 36 to 60.
Yeah.
Derby County went from 17 at the baseball ground to 32,000. Southampton went for 15 at the Dell to 32,000.
Well, the people at the club, and including at board level, who are arguing for that higher capacity, 60 or the mythical, well, it will be mythical because it's never going to happen, is it? 61878.
No.
Will use quite emotive phrases like, I guarantee it'll be full for at least a couple of years. That's your feel-good factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then it would be incumbent on the football club to make sure we either are delivering a fan experience or we're successful, or ideally both that make that fullness persist. And if you look at Arsenal, it's always, until the back end of Wenger's days, but even then it only dropped off by a few thousand, didn't it? They were sold out. They sold tickets for every single game. Doesn't mean the place was full, a bit like the Etihad and stuff. But the first hurdle is selling all the tickets, and right behind it is making sure people turn up, isn't it? And that's the conundrum with affordable ticket prices, because obviously pricing tickets in a certain way stimulates touts and stuff like that. So actually, and I've done this on Business Matters, when people fear empty seats, you could have actually more empty seats in a 52k stadium because it's less affordable than you could in a more affordable, bigger stadium. Because the people more likely to actually use the tickets are the real fans, not the guys who are trying to profiteer. So yeah, it's a good one. Yeah,
it's really difficult.
It could. And again, if you're doing people who are trying to say, am I positive or negative? Right, even me as a positive person, I would say it's more likely that'll have a negative impact on our ability to strengthen the footballing side than a positive one. Because I don't believe the stadium's big enough.
Then what's the point?
Because Goodison's not sustainable, really. And you're in a worse state, aren't you? Because don't forget, when we start talking about debt and stuff, like whether it's whatever it's going to be, 25, 30 million a year, then it's a bit like, do you repair your car or buy a new one? You know, if you have a car on a private lease and every 2 years you get a new car, you never buy tyres, you never have to pass MOT, and so all those go in the big fancy spreadsheet. Yeah, and there's got to come a point where there's a crossover where actually it could potentially be more expensive, not in absolute terms but in business terms, to stay at Goodison and continually patch the place up when you're restricted about how you can enhance hospitality and all those sorts of things, than actually go to a new one. Don't forget, we're going to have 3 times as much hospitality at Bramley.
I suppose
we should have 5 times, but 3 times.
I suppose my fear is for us to be able to be successful and to fill it and to generate more income, we've got to continue to strengthen the team. We've got to build a good side, and we've got to not be hamstrung by going, we can't afford to buy that centre forward for 50 million. We have to be able to do this, because otherwise we're never gonna. You said something before that everybody else is running. we're gonna have to either take the shortcut, do the Al Hare and the Hare and the tortoise, or we're gonna have to go full on Usain Bolt to catch them.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
or Ben Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've covered this quite a lot, or regularly rather than quite a lot, on Business Matters, the podcast.
Yeah.
And so I come up with that analogy of a foot race.
Yeah.
And if you're sad enough to have not listened to Everton Business Matters, you should. But in my foot race analogy, that top 6 already have a start on us, which is a gap that needs to be closed.
Yeah.
But they're also running faster than we are. So actually the gap's getting bigger.
It is.
And I would potentially argue when we talk about what could happen next season, that out of that top 6, 3 of them are slowing down.
Yeah, I agree.
United, Arsenal, Chelsea are slowing down. But the other 3 are still picking up, particularly that shower across the way. They're actually getting faster, aren't they?
They are.
And so if you do try and visualise that in your head, it's a long distance race, it's a marathon, but marathon's the best example, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Tottenham are hanging on, but you can see that City and the other lot are just pulling away, sort of thing. And eventually even one of them 2 will get in the home straight and what have you. Meanwhile, we're 7th, 8th down the road.
Yeah.
And we've slowed down before they've slowed down. And so, as you say, you need to get that second breath.
Yeah.
And I can see someone slowing down. That should give us a motivation. Let's pick up a bit of speed.
3 teams,
yeah, exactly right. Let's pick up a bit of speed, take a chance that we'll catch one of them. Yeah. And once we've got one, a bit like they always say when they're doing the adverts, the commentaries, when you do catch them, you've got to go straight past them and destroy them.
Yeah, finish it.
Make them believe they can't catch up.
Yeah.
And that gets you to the next one. So we can't do it organically in the sense, we can't have 50 years of being a world-renowned brand in 5 years.
No.
But we can be smarter, or try and be smarter. And that's actually a big subject. How can you be smarter? And sometimes that's just being different. And we did talk about that on one of your things.
Yeah, you did.
By doing things differently, deal with the media differently, give the media more of what they want, take a few risks with fans. Yeah, fan media. I know you don't like that phrase, but that's
we're in Everton independent media.
Yeah, but
that's what we are.
The industry calls it fan media, don't they? And that includes everyone, whether it's people like your Blue Room, you guys, those red men next door. They're the potentially the mainstream influences of the rank and file fan. Not Sky or, heaven forbid, BT or
the Daily Mail,
or no one over 75 is able to watch it the BBC and stuff like that. Yeah. So just being different, and that's the fear about what's going on across the road, is that for whatever strengths and weaknesses he's got, their chief exec is a salesman, and he's out there selling all day, every day.
But they've also got a very good manager who, and I don't mean step away from the pitch stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean off the pitch.
From a marketing point of view.
For the Red Men last year, Paul was in America.
I remember you said they got interviews and all sorts of stuff.
His interview's brilliant. Klopp's brilliant with him. Sat him down in a hotel room for half an hour with Jurgen Klopp. Do whatever you want. Klopp said, I think I've said this here to our patrons before. Klopp said, I don't read mainstream media. I don't listen to Sky. I listen to you. I watch you because you're a fan. So you'll tell me exactly what's going on. Whereas a journalist or Sky will tell me what the narrative is. And that's what Liverpool are. Everton are, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Unless you're going to say we're gorgeous, I don't want to hear it. And it's still like that now. And that's my criticism of the club. It's getting better. Marginally and fractionally, it's getting better. But even just using those two examples, Chris last week before the Champions League final, Liverpool took him to Melwood, sat him down with Oxlade-Chamberlain and Jordan Henderson. Klopp come in.
Hello, my mate. Yeah, the example is that's part of getting intimate in the nicest way with your fan base, making it a people's club. Where the gap between the multiple millionaires who play football, who used to be lads who used to have jumpers for goalposts, actually can engage with lads who do still have jumpers for goalposts, and dream of just talking to you, never mind doing what you do and walking out of Goodison Park and all that sort of stuff. But imagine going back a couple of years and Klopp's the manager of that lot, as he is, with his natural style and charisma and all that sort of stuff. But the chief exec is Robert Elston.
Wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened, you know. So you've got to create the environment that allows, you know. I mean, I don't know, but actually, I've seen you since we had the sponsors' day at Finch Farm. I've seen you, and
maybe.
So you know, I sponsored a couple of players. So I had Dominic at DCL. And
John Joe Kenny.
No, well, it's Mason Holgate first, but then Mason went off on loan to West Brom, so I got John Joe Kenny. So that allows me to take. Me and Mercer's would normally go. We had one player with two players. You can take 4 of you. So I took my nephew and my great nephew. Right. And Joshua's whatever he is, 8 or something, or 7 or 8, something. Like living the dream. The last time I took him, I had Ty Browning and John Stones. Right. So, but he's a bit older now, so now he can work the room. All the players seem to love it, genuinely. You know, they were enjoying, engaging. The same with the Everton Community Gala dinner. You know, they're all put in little bubbles, but they enjoy it when, if it's safe. You know, you're not getting someone abusing you. Now Silva's a dour bugger, isn't he?
I've got no issue with him, but you'll see him more than me.
He wasn't. He loved it. I've got some great photographs of me and him, and I've got great photographs of him with Joshua and with Joshua's dad Lee and all that sort of stuff. And the point was he didn't want to go. And I mean, the top of that tree was Martinez, who just did it overnight, didn't he?
Fantastic.
You know, but the point being, that's a really closed environment in the sense that there's only 15 or 20 players who were sponsored, not even that many last season, I don't think. So maybe 30 people in the room. So it's really safe. But you can't put on enjoying it.
No.
You know.
No. Well, I'll tell you who.
And they're all playing. Who's that?
Koeman.
He was last year, but it was. He's a good example of. A good example. In fact, he wasn't. He never, because he got rid of him before. It was Sam last year. But he's a good example of. He would do it because he had to.
He's
Allardyce was great, by the way, when he did it.
Well, I believe. Listen, I want him at my football club and all that, but I know a couple of people who know him.
As a person,
he's
as
a fella, he's great.
I would agree. I haven't met him. I would agree.
Want him in
you go back to Peter Moore.
I
was at a presentation he did to the IOD.
I remember you saying.
In St James in Liverpool, and he described. I mean, it was formulaic in the sense that he's obviously got, you know, a standard presentation he's doing. It's very similar actually to the one that Everton do for Bramley Moore. Now we talk about how we're going to generate income for the city, Liverpool City region, and all that. So I think it's actually a reaction to the Bramley Moore thing, and they know that they were encroaching on their space, if you will.
Well, you know they are by what Tom Werner said at the thing about
they're not daft.
No fan. Why would you support Everton?
Exactly that sort of stuff. But he described, and he's right, I think. Sorry, but I do think he's right. Perhaps not world football, which is what he said, but in a big chunk of it, he just described Klopp as the most charismatic manager in world football. So anyone listening or watching, rather, because this is visual, isn't it? Don't have to believe that. just after in your own head, and you can do it now, who do I think is more charismatic?
Pep.
More media friendly?
Yeah.
It's borderline though, isn't it?
It is borderline. I think what I find, my issue with Klopp is...
So you have to exploit all your assets as the point.
I've got to say, right, taking me Everton glasses off, right, when he was Dortmund manager, I thought he was incredible.
Yeah.
He played the Champions League final against Bayern Munich, and I watched the build-up, and there was an interview with him about how he changed Dortmund. He was incredible. I was like, oh my God, I'd love Everton to have this fella. When he went there, I had to play him down a bit and go, he's doing this, beating this. And I don't like he plays to the camera.
Yeah, of course he does.
I don't like that.
Media
they
friendly.
love it. They love it. And what I mean is on the pitch. I don't mind
does.
in the press conference.
Oh, he likes to.
But one thing I will say
Have
is...
you got me right, correct side? Yeah.
Yeah, and all of that. But he's like all of them. He's great when it's going well for him.
Yeah.
When he doesn't like the Rooney penalty at Anfield under Sam, he was a knobhead. Everton had gone and done a great number on him, and he didn't like it. He didn't like it because, you know, you happy watching that football and all of that.
Isn't that how winners behave?
I think you've.
There's plenty of people watching this who think, well, let us be a bit nasty occasionally. Yeah.
No, you can be nasty, right? You can be nasty, but there's a way to do it. I think
Always.
you can't come across like boom when we win, boom, but when we get beat, be like, you're shit. You didn't deserve that. You're a cheat. I just think that, and his mask has slipped a little bit a couple of times.
It's like Vettel after the last Grand Prix, so maybe it's a German thing.
Possibly, and you know what?
You detract people from the failings of your team.
When they
which
lose,
Mourinho does great.
When they lose,
Yeah.
he scurries down that fucking tunnel like a little rat.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Like cockroaches when the lights come on, that's what he's like. When they win, he's in the centre of the pitch, pumping his chest and all that. It's nonsense. But away from that, you're right, as someone who you'd engage. If you come in here, he'd probably bounce in here.
How much do you think they pay him a year?
£6 million.
Right. And if they're on telly half a dozen times more because of him,
of
he
course.
pays for himself.
Oh, without a shadow. Listen, I'm not.
And that's the point. You've got to have that level of granularity of how you're going to drive your income streams, how you're going to drive your profitability, blah, blah,
See,
blah.
me and Ped had an argument over Silva. We've had quite a few, but we had an argument over Marco in January. You know, Ped wasn't having him at all.
All right,
and
okay.
I was massively defending him because I think he's great. I do. And to me, I don't need him pumping his chest on the sideline. And
Ped wants him to be more animated.
A bit more animated. Yeah. He should be doing this and he should be smiling. He should. I want him to do his job first and foremost. And if he does his job, I'm good with it. If he smiles and he cracks it out, and then fair enough, I'll go with it more. But to me, it's about doing your job.
But he's shown he can be a bit cutting in interviews.
Oh, he's got better. To be fair, he has got better.
You know, he'll have the sound bites.
And we spoke to David Maddock, and the press have been called in and done interviews with him because he wasn't getting very good press.
That's right.
And Maddock said he was brilliant. Yeah. He was absolutely.
I told you he was brilliant with me. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So listen, we had Martinez, who you'd fall in love with, sat opposite him for half an hour. You know, we sat in the room with him for 2 hours twice. And just listen to him, and you're talking, and he'll ask you about a player, and you give your opinion, and he'll say whether he thinks it's right or absolutely brilliant.
I sat next to him for a couple of hours at a shareholders dinner.
You'd love to sit with him. I'd love to go on a night out with him. You know, go and have a meal with him and a glass of red and just discuss football because he's unbelievable. I don't want him managing my football team because the kid doesn't know how to defend to save his life. But what a great fella to talk. Now, I want somewhere in the middle. And I think Marco can be that. But you're right, from Liverpool's perspective, and Peter Moore and Jurgen Klopp pulls all that in. They love him. The cult love him because he buys into that, and he knows he's clever with what he does, and he looks at it and goes, these love this, so I'm going to give them more. Fair play, fair enough. David Wild, on one of our patrons, when safe standing comes in, if the ratio is greater than 1-to-1 and it is in season ticket area, how do you see the seats being allocated for UEFA competitions?
That's a good question. I would expect, and I'm making this up probably on the hoof, is that season tickets will be for Premier League games, and there'll have to be 2 levels of season ticket, won't there? There'll have to be one that is just for Premier League, so that's your two people in a place.
Yeah, yeah.
And then for whether it's an Auto Cup thing or whatever, it's going to be a seat. So it'll be first come, first served, won't it?
Yeah,
that's the only sensible way.
I think Dortmund do that, don't they?
Yeah.
Sebastian said, so must move Because they go from 25,000 to 12.
Yeah, that's right. So they have to relocate.
So they relocate. They get priority in another area, I think he said.
Yeah. So that's when you have to start getting complicated. The challenge we will have at Bramley Moore, because the stadium's going to be too small, is that there won't be 10,000 places if it's a 1 to 2. Assuming that the question's really about we're moving from 52 to 62, then there won't be 10,000 places in the stadium to relocate those people to. That might be part of the logic around how we'll try and constrain the number of season ticket holders. But if you constrain the number of season ticket holders, then those people haven't got season tickets anyway. You know what I mean? So it gets really complicated, and the complexity will only be made worse by having a low capacity. So.
And I suppose maybe, well, that's why it's got to be at least 55 people. When this consultation, I'm just going to say this now, patrons, and we're all friends here, these lovely people who support us, make your feelings known about the capacity. Honestly, I can't stress it enough. 52,000 isn't acceptable. It's not. I don't care who's done a plan. I don't care what guide they've used. For me, it can't go lower than 55. I know John thinks it's too low. I think most people I speak to think it's too low. So I don't know who they're speaking to who thinks it's. But you're right. It's a complex situation.
So if you're going to be doing your little propaganda bit, the key there is the number of seats. And you're saying 55,000 seats.
Great that we can go to a higher ratio with safe standing when it comes in. But it won't be 1 to 2, in my opinion, it won't be 1 to 2.
That's right, and because what's important, and I asked some of my shareholder colleagues this at our meeting on Monday, when the club says, well, we could go up to 62,000 with safe standing, their assumption is a 1 to 2 ratio. Yeah, that's what they're planning around. I just don't believe in this day and age, and we know that people like Sasha Ryazantsev and Peter Moore's repeating the same messages around current generations and future generations will consume the game in a different way, hence it's digital, and no doubt we'll end up like bloody airplanes with TVs in the back of the seats and all that rubbish. I just don't see with those generations now and coming along that there will ever be, I'll stand corrected, that there'll ever be 20,000 people standing at Bramley Moore at the same time. Because that's what it means.
It does.
If you have 10,000, absolutely. But if you have 10,000 rail seats at 1 to 2, that means 20,000 people are standing. And if we assume, assumption on assumption now, aren't we? But if we assume 3,000 of those is for the away end, perhaps that's an easier way to deal with the FA Cup rules and stuff. So you have 3,000 seats and say, well, for the FA Cup games, it's 6,000. There you go. There's your 10%. There's your sort of thing. It still means there's 14,000 standing. I just don't see that many people wanting to stand. I mean, I did do a poll on this, and and people just say no, they don't think that many will stand.
The way I do it in my mind, and this is just very basic. A broad brush, I think you say, but it's just a very basic thing. 55,000 seats with a ratio of 1 to 1.5 pushes it up to 60,000 or 62,000. That's like 7,000 seats or whatever. I think when we done it on whatever it is, I agree with you. 20,000 would mean. I just don't see 20,000. I could see 10,000 standing maximum, really.
Well, that's 5,000 seats at 1 to 2.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be 1 to 2, and that's why I'm saying for me it has to be 55,000 seats from day one, with the opportunity for 5,000 seats at least to turn into rail seats, which would then produce 7,500 seats. But
listen, because we've been up on the top of the yellow wall, right? Yeah. So we know that they're 1 to 2. Yeah. The two-step thing. That allows 1 to 2. Doesn't mean they have to have 1 to 2 in there.
No.
So the stadium has to, if the club are telling that, as they see it, then they're clearly going to have seated areas of the stadium that could have a 1 to 2 ratio.
Well, that's fine.
Okay. And if predominantly that's in the south stand, which is going to be our big home end, then excluding the away end, I'm assuming that's the only place where they'll be standing. So you make it capable of 1 to 2. If you start off with, which is your point, I'm worried now because I've got to do some of these sums in my head. If you start off with the view that there's 55,000 in the stadium, seats, that is, then I guess you're saying the other 3,000 seats are going to be in the south stand.
Yeah, well, that's what I would.
Yeah, and that's what I've said to some people at the club. Stick them in the, squeeze 3,000 more in and stick them behind that goal.
Just reduce it a little.
Yeah, whatever. Width, whatever. Then you say to yourself, well, we've got 55,000 in the stadium now. 3,000 are away fans. So at 1 to 2,
Yeah.
how many standing places are you going to have? Yeah. And if you say, well, there's 5,000 in the south stand becomes 10,000, then that adds 5,000 to capacity, doesn't it? And that gets you up to 6. If you say, well, let's be bold and we'll have 10,000 rail seats in there, then you can have a crazy situation, can't you? Where at 1 to 2, the capacity would be 65,000.
Yeah.
But even if you've got your 1 to 1.5 or 1 to 1 even, you might say there are people, you know, the lads who are trying to get the atmosphere going, who might want to stand all the time. So you say for certain games, it's going to be 1 to 1.
Yeah.
And then when based on demand, and they can sell tickets and then decide, because there's room there to have 1 to 2, and you say, well, for this game, we only sold 61,000 in total, but bet your bottom dollar you could use the full 1 to 2 for derby games.
Oh, easily. And we've been in the 1 to 2 ratio to sound.
Yeah, so as soon as you get into, and people start getting emotive around the capacity as a number, then the limit is probably the site then.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think the club says the site can only sustain 62,000, isn't it? Yeah, absolute maximum was the phrase that
62
that
maximum.
Colin said.
Yeah.
So in actual fact, then based on us fag packeting this now, we don't need 1 to 2, do we? If you've got a stadium capacity limited by the site,
so it's
and you're going to have 55,000 seats anyway, then actually the limitation is probably the site rather than the ratio.
So that's roughly where my 55,000 with the 1 to 1.5 comes in.
Yeah, that's what gets you up to 60.
Gets to 60 to 62.
Yeah.
7,000 seats, whatever. If you got 5,000 seats at 1 to 1.5, it's 7,000 seats, isn't it? So
7.5. Yeah.
7.5. So it takes you from 55 to 62.5.
No, it doesn't. It takes you from 55 to 57.5.
57. Sorry, yeah. You got me thinking now. Yeah, but we can.
People at home have got piece of paper. They
I'm
can
just
do
doing it. I'm reading
but
questions.
Yeah, people always do it the wrong, don't they? The increase,
without
the gap.
Seats,
you've got to take the seats off. Yeah.
But you can. But it's there. It's capable of being done.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's why we have to push it up. 52 isn't going to be enough. And I'm with you. 1 to 2 is very, very, very optimistic, I think. Stephen Kelly, I don't know whether this is a different one because they have it. This might be the one you know, John. What do you make of the club's commercial department? Are we so far behind because the right people are not in place, or is it because of the stadium that was so far behind, or is it a bit of both?
I'm assuming commercial. It means, you know, the income stream that is commercial.
Yeah.
So that's not really anything to do with the stadium, is it? Other than there's a feel-good factor of having a new one, so that might attract commercial, you know, deals because of a new stadium. So it's not the stadium. Do it a different way around. The impact of Goodison is match day income, which is too low.
Yeah.
But it's too low because we don't have that much hospitality. We don't have that many boxes, but then I don't think we're going to have boxes at Bramley Moor because, again, going back to that, how are people consuming the game? Less and less are doing it in boxes and actually doing it in lounges, and you need different degrees of lounges and all that sort of stuff. So we're trying to think 3 or 4 years ahead. I just think the commercial team needs to have performed better, and it hasn't. If that's a blunt, the people aren't good enough. No, they're not good enough.
Fair enough. Stuart Carter on Patreon, would Wilfred Zaha fit in our team?
No, I don't like him.
Got ability though.
He has got ability.
But I don't see him moving outside of London. I think Chelsea or Spurs.
But it goes back to some of the chats we have around, you know, why would you build a stadium, the premium and all that sort of stuff. The amount of money you could have to spend on the guy.
70 million plus.
Would we get 70 million quid's worth of value? And I don't think we would.
No, and he wants 160 grand a week as well, as you.
And I don't see him as the sort who plays the style of game that the league is going towards, and certainly we are, which is pressing and mobility and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think again that's key again, isn't it? Really. We've just lost that then. Adam Galloway, thanks very much. Marcel Brand's interview just released on a website. We'll check that out later. Steve Donahue, hi lads, good to see John back on Toffee TV. How do you feel about the fixture bias towards the top 6? Surely not a level playing field for clubs outside of it will always give them a chance to build a gap between them and the rest of the Premier League.
The computer comes up with what it comes up with.
Do you believe that?
Yeah. You think the Premier League's fraudulent, or
why people are turning the lights off? Well, I don't believe.
Go back on again now.
Yeah. The way I look at it is, I don't believe it's a coincidence that once again we've been lumped with a hell of a lot of fixtures
Yeah, I think
on top of each other.
let's play the game here, right? So I think you could have a guy from the Premier League here, probably with some techie guy who's done all the algorithms and all that sort of stuff. Look him in the eye and say, these fixtures, have they come out randomly as per what you say with your computer? And he could look at you back in the eye, could tell 100% true and say yes. However, it's a bit like we were talking before about project plans and assumptions. They clearly put some criteria in there, like Everton and Liverpool can't play at home on the same day.
Yeah, of course.
We want to have certain packages of weekends, so Derby weekend,
That's what I'm saying.
and all that
So
sort
it
of
can't
stuff.
be that.
So when all those rattle out,
it spits
and
up.
then criteria get tiered upon criteria, you end up with us getting what we get. Now, what I do think is odd, if odd's not the wrong word, is how we have all those so-called big clubs bang, 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 just like we did last season. And I don't recall us having it for the previous 5. So if it's completely random.
Oh, we did under Martinez. We had 7 of the top 8 in the first 9 games.
Yeah, okay, but that's quite a while ago now.
No, but I'm saying again.
Yeah, but the point being, we've had it 2 years running.
We have,
Yeah.
Which is
I mean, the randomness clearly for the Derby games isn't random, is it? Yeah. Because
they've said that. Sky have said they choose the Sunday, they choose the bunch of games they want, and it comes out. But what I would say, the only thing I would say, Steve, is it gives them a chance to build a gap for the rest of the Prem. But if you actually look at Everton's fixtures, someone might argue that we've got an advantage. Liverpool have got like Chelsea early on and another.
We've got to play everyone.
We don't play anyone till we play. I'm not being disrespectful when I say we don't play anyone.
City.
What I mean is we don't. Man City on the 28th of September is the first top 6 team we face.
It's nearly 2 months into the season.
Right. So realistically, or not realistically, but hypothetically, Everton could be top of the Premier League by the time they play Man City. Everton could win 7 of the first 8 games.
But and
be top. So then we're in that gap.
Yeah. You got to play everyone, haven't you? But there is, and I think where the question's going is because all these things are marginal. I'll ask you a different question.
Come on, then.
Which of any of the 3 promoted teams do you think are guaranteed to get relegated?
Norwich City.
Right. So you start the season expecting Norwich to get relegated. Do you want them away on the first game or away on the 10th game?
I want them away on the 10th game.
Exactly. So even not just who you're playing, when you're playing them makes a difference. When they're all blue-eyed and bushy-tailed and the fans are up for it. And
well, the Coronation have got them, haven't they? On the Friday night.
But that's at home, isn't it? So
no, but they're at home on the Friday night, so we can be top of the league. From day one.
And that and that home thing then makes it. You know what I mean? So there's loads and loads of things, and I suppose the only pragmatic way for any manager to deal with it, we've got to play them all. We could play those top 6 teams, as they call them, in that period when they're all having a bit of a rough time. It's in the middle of the Champions League time, isn't it?
It is, middle of Champions League, December, lots of games.
So you can argue that's a good time to catch them.
Listen, we had it, everyone was dreading
the home
game
the home
at the
batch.
end of the season, and we had clean sheets in all but one game.
And towards the end of it, we were expecting to win.
We were, and it's about getting on, it's momentum, isn't it? Liverpool will always be difficult. But Arsenal, Chelsea, United are in flux, so who knows? We could be coming out of that goal and smash them all again. You just don't know, do you?
And perhaps, again, I can't remember the exact phrasing of the question, but it probably is biased to the top 6, but not to those 6 clubs. It's because they've been the top 6 for a period.
Well, they have, haven't they, for a few years now.
Because I think it's driven by the TV packages and what they want. So if all of a sudden our club was the one they wanted on the telly,
we'd get it.
Then obviously the discretionary games would come our way and we'd end up getting more money because of it. Then next year they might think, well, we actually want that game they had against that team was fantastic, and we don't want it to be on a Tuesday night now. We want it to be on a Sunday afternoon. That sort of stuff.
Interesting. Well, we know that the Man United game's probably going to change because they are in the Europa League and they play on the 12th of December, so it'll go to the Sunday.
I said to Teresa, my missus, the other day when we were talking about this, because she was saying, no, fixtures are out soon. And is it really random sort of thing? I said, yeah, that's exactly what the Premier League do. Is they say to the techie, press the button. So he presses the button and it all comes out. They go, press it again.
Well, that's why they have the dry run.
Keep pressing it till you get the ones you like.
The one we like, Toffee 96. Oh, Marie Brown says, I love John. Say hello to him.
Hello, Marie. Hi.
There you go.
You're on Twitter again.
Yeah, she'll be there. chasing Andre. Only messing with you. Well, I'm not, because you are. I mean, everyone knows it's fine. He'll probably, you know what? When he signs, he might even reference you.
He knows who you are.
He'll be like, "What was the biggest factor in this?" Well, Marie, tweeting me every day. Toffee
you shouldn't jest. It all helps.
Hey, listen, keep doing it. We will get him. Keep doing it to Neres as well. Find him, because I quite like him. Toffee 96, John. Was there any serious takeover bids that Kenwright considered before Moshiri came in?
Not he's told me about. So I think he used to say, whenever I asked him similar questions, was, you know, how long have you got, type of thing. Yeah. Because as we're seeing all the time, you know, whether the Newcastle thing will happen, for example.
No one knows,
you know, there's lots who show interest until they get close enough to realise what it means. And then they realise I'm really rich unless I buy a football club, and then I'm not no more. So I don't think so. No, I think because
there was that rumour that he turned down Man City owners, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
Stuart Lowe, another interesting one. Do you genuinely think?
Does that mean all the others weren't?
What interesting? No, this one's like, what I mean by this is this is. I mean, I don't know whether John would even answer this, but I'm going to ask him. Do you think genuinely that Usmanov is pulling some strings at Everton, or none at all?
This guy's watching, isn't he?
Stuart's watching.
Yeah, Stuart.
And they're all our patrons. So
Stuart, elaborate what you mean by pulling strings. Yeah.
I will say what I think Stuart means.
Okay, well, let Stuart tell us. Yeah.
I think he thinks, is he involved?
What does involve mean?
My answer to that will be yes, he is involved.
What does involve mean then?
More than what people think.
What do people think then?
That well, someone sat here will go, well, yeah, he's Moshiri's business partner, and they've sponsored USM Finch Farm, and he puts an advertising board at Goodison Megaphone every. Other than that, he doesn't have any say in Everton, any interest in Everton, any money in Everton. I don't believe that.
Okay.
But what I believe and what is true is a different thing, isn't it? But
yeah. Has he told us what he means?
No, but I'm sure he'll come back in a minute.
Well, we'll answer it when.
Come back.
He's given us his view. He's wrong. Yeah.
Come back to it. Would you prefer a bowl-like stadium or the more four traditional sides? Right, I'll answer it first and I'll go to John. I've said before, when we went to Germany and we went to Dusseldorf, I said in the stadium to you, if Bramley Moor's this, I'm happy as well. Yeah. Because inside it was steep, it was on top of the players, and it was 54,000, and I thought it was fantastic. What's your?
Didn't I agree with you at the time?
I think you did.
So I'm still agreeing with you. Yeah?
Okay, that's fine.
I mean,
I don't want a bowl, do we?
No. It depends what. Again, I mean, devil's in the detail. What people mean by bowls, i.e., it looks like internally. Clearly, it's all going to be enclosed. It's not going to like
the Etihad. You've been the Etihad many times. Yeah. Would you like that, or would you like Dusseldorf?
Dusseldorf.
Because that was more a bit like Goodison, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know people like the Emirates because the seats are about 4 foot wide and all that. But again, that's the same sort of thing. I think going back to some of the questions we've had around how we can catch up with people by being different.
Yeah.
The stadium itself can be part of that.
Yeah,
it can be an expression of being different.
Definitely.
And that, part of that's going to be the fabric of it, isn't it? What it's physically built with and the site and things.
Yeah.
But pretty much all the newish stadiums have been bowls, haven't they?
Yeah.
Even Tottenham have gone that route. You know, and I got not some stick, but some surprise when I said I wasn't particularly impressed by the place. It's a great stadium and stuff, but is it different? Does it, once the newness has worn off, will people still be saying it's magnificent? But I rather hope that what happens at Bramley Moor is 3 years down the line, when someone goes there for the first time, they're still going, wow, whoa, this is, this is different, isn't it?
Interesting. Dave Wildcup VAR counters some of the bias now that decisions and goals will be reviewed.
I read an interesting stat. I think it was a journalist, so it wasn't just some stat out on Twitter, not disparaging about them, of course, that what VAR results in is less goals.
Well, yeah, because
actually the reviews are just about, was that a goal or not? If the review says yes, it was, then it is a goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it would have been anyway. If the review says no, it's not, it probably means goals that would have been given in the past are now not given. So maybe 5 to 10% of goals don't happen.
Yeah.
The bias is a bit of a leading question because, again, you're saying there's a bias. Yeah. If the bias is to so-called big clubs, which is, again, you get the benefit of the doubt, well, the guys sat in the control room will have the same bias, won't they?
I think the only thing what it'll do is they have to show it. So if they decide a goal is given or a goal isn't given, they do.
Who won't be able to see it.
No, but everyone.
It's curious that one of them is the biggest beneficiary of dodgy decisions.
No, I know, but what I mean is, even if it's not replayed in the stadium, everyone will see the goal. So therefore, it'll put the integrity of those people at question if it continues to happen.
The two biggest brands.
Because at the moment they can go. At the moment, a referee or a liner can go and see it.
Yeah.
Or didn't look like that to me. They now can't come out and go, well, Mane's offside, but. Oh yeah, it's
the two biggest brands.
I know, haven't got it.
British football and perhaps European stroke world football don't have screens.
Yeah.
But all their fancy lounge members will
see it. Yeah.
So they'll have to put screens in the back of the seats.
Well, they got the iPads, just do a link up to it.
But no, I don't think any perceived bias. To answer the question, I don't think will change because. If there is a bias, then the bias will exist in the minds of the review guys. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the advantage or the benefit of VAR is, as you say, the on-field referee could be biased in the sense, well, I'm not sure, so I won't do anything. But the guys in the little box wherever they are, some central place, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're doing all the games at the same time, aren't they? Sort of thing, and they'll review everything. The fun will be. Have they changed it yet, the Premier League, where they're going to review at the pitch side, or are they going to let the guys in the box make the decision?
I'd let the guys in the box make the decision.
I mean, because that's the way we've been doing it differently from everyone else, haven't we?
We've been looking again. But
I think they've changed it now. They need to say they will call them over to the touchline. So the referee will never be able to say it was nothing to do with me, Guff. Yeah.
But they're a team, aren't they? I think it needs to be quicker. We saw one the other night, Switzerland and Portugal, and the lad goes down the box. The referee plays on, the break, Bernardo Silva gets taken out, it's a penalty. But VAR look at it and give Switzerland a penalty. So
because of some other phase.
So they carried on. So what the referee needed to do for me was once it got to the halfway line, blow his whistle and go, there's a VAR check, I've got to stop it. If you carry on and you get a penalty, I have to give it back down there. So it's cut all that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, but that's also probably one of those things that will happen once every God knows how many games.
No, I know, but you've got to make
sure.
But
it is the oddity.
Imagine it.
Thinking you're getting a pen and one goes the other way.
They get it the other way, imagine it. Everton Viking, how would John rate our CEO's first year in the job? Does he think she's done well?
That binary answer would be yes. But has the club done well? No. Is she the chief exec? Yeah. Yes. So it's a conundrum, isn't it? And I think, if you looked at the board and said the chief exec, really, the clue's in the name, isn't it?
Yeah.
The chief executive. But she doesn't have control or influence over all the executive actions, which is a bit daft. Because I'm not convinced. Well, clearly Bill doesn't report to her,
no.
but I don't think Sasha does or Keith Harris does. So tiger by the tail thing. I think, I mean, if you're doing a school report type thing, I think does well could do better. Yeah, would be what you'd say. But I think the real key is the things she said she was going to do, she's done. Most notably, I guess, around the stadium, isn't it? Yeah. And I think she's far more public facing than Robert Elston ever was. So perhaps a further question would be: is she an upgrade on the last guy?
And the answer's
yes, isn't it? Unless you've got some patrons who think she's not as good as the last guy was.
Yeah.
Could we have someone better? Yeah, I guess so. But whether the better person is Denise herself as she matures and and pushes on.
Maybe she needs a better team round her.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's what it is.
Absolutely.
Stuart Lowe's come back to us. Two things. First of all, he doesn't get to Goodison very often. Last time he did, saw him being kicked out 30 minutes after the game. We were there, the last two people to leave the stadium. I wanted to stay there afterwards and take in the stadium, but they just wanted us out. This is something that annoys me at Everton. Is that they can't wait to get you out the stadium. And I know people have to go home and all that, but having, again, being German football boss, in Germany we were able to go and have a pint after the game and talk and stand, and no one was in a rush to get rid of us. They wanted you to spend money.
Well, that's what Spurs did.
Wanted you to stay and spend money?
Yeah. two things that I think what Spurs have. A is, I mean, anyone who's ever been to the Emirates, for example, it's a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because there's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a couple of tubes you can go to, massive queues and all that sort of stuff. And Spurs is even worse. It's more constrained and so on. So their attitude is, and they advertise, you can stay behind and have a few beers and
Let people get away.
let people get away and you know, smooth it out and so on.
And I think that's what Everton should.
And if Everton Football Club not letting people stay in the ground, for what reason, I don't know. Maybe it's Sodexo want their staff to go home, I don't know. But they tend to lock up shop and go, don't they, before the game's finished?
Even at the end of the game.
But this guy's not saying he wanted to spend money, is he? He's just saying he wanted to...
No, but if you've got somewhere to go and have after the game, 5 minutes after the whistle in the Upper Bullens, they're like, come on, can you go?
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we don't get that on
And
the
we're
park
like,
end.
well, hang on. You know, I'm going to the toilet.
I mean, me and the people who I sit around, most notably Phil and his dad. He's only sat there 12 years, so I don't know what his dad's name is.
Yeah.
Phil or your dad, if you're watching, you have to tell me what your dad's name is. We often talk about the game and stuff like that, and we're often quite close, and Joe sits by us amongst the last out. I don't remember the last time a steward come along and said, come on, hurry up.
Ours do.
That's curious, then,
absolutely
isn't it?
ridiculous.
But there's a point there for the club, which is, move people into the concourse areas where the bars are still
Open the
open.
bars and point them towards and spend the money.
But I don't know whether that money spent ends up in the club's coffers anyway, or whether Sodexo
well, that's
just
what they need to
trouser
be
it,
looking at for the new stadium, definitely. Stuart Lowe said, this is about the Usmanov thing.
Oh, okay.
I mean, nobody invests millions in a training ground when the minutes the training ground's shown on TV, is almost non-existent. Where's the financial gain? Usmanov invested these millions before he sold his shares in Arsenal, so it surprises me that he can't come out now and say that he's investing in Everton.
It's not just stuff that's seen at Finch Farm. It's on all the websites, it's on all the media interviews. He's getting brand recognition and stuff like that. And it's not investment per se in the sense that perhaps the guy means, it's sponsorship. His businesses obviously believe that spending that amount of money per year is worth it to have their branding, and it's round the pitch all
game,
throughout the
Premier
game.
League.
And don't forget, by the way, that all our games are available outside of England.
Everywhere. So
worldwide coverage is, you know.
Interesting. I still think he'll get involved, though he is.
Viking,
what should Everton's transfer strategy for the next 5 to 10 years be? What markets do we need to improve in?
Markets?
Yeah.
Don't know what that means. Strategy's got to be the same that it always is.
I'm sure he means like commercially and stuff like that as well.
Okay. I mean, if we do the commercial answer, I think the club will seem to think that the place to invest is Africa. I think it's North America. Because I think there's a quicker return there.
Definitely.
So I don't think, going back to the foot race analogy, we've got the time to wait for a market to grow.
No.
Yeah. And clearly the Far East would be cool.
But
China particularly, and what have you. As far as investments in players, buy low, sell high.
Sell high, yeah. Same for every club, though, isn't it? Really, exactly the same.
If what we've cracked with brands is fundamentally he's a P&L holder for player trading, reward him hugely. If we're very successful at it.
Incentivize it even more. Stephen Kelly didn't realise it'll be our first Boxing Day home game since Martinez's first season.
I didn't till just then.
There you go. What do you make of Amazon coming into football? Do you ever see a broadcaster in this country showing 3 p.m. games? Well, Amazon are showing 3 p.m. games on Boxing Day, aren't they? They're all on live.
Are they?
Yeah. I mean, we'll be at the match, so we won't necessarily see that.
Well, I'm an Amazon person, so I'll let you know when I've seen it. Yeah, but I think streaming.
I think this is the way it'll go.
Absolutely, streaming. That's the gig, isn't it? Really, and clearly, my view. I don't know when it is. A couple of years away, isn't it? But I don't know when.
2022, the next round is.
I was going to say, but they'll start negotiating it. I think the traditional broadcasters, the take from them will be lower.
Yeah.
But the overall take will be bigger. Yeah, and if Amazon really benefit from it, because actually, it's funny actually, a bit of a war story, but I have Amazon Prime here, and when I went to the States, in my house in Florida, I couldn't watch it. And so I spoke to Amazon in the States and said, why can't it? Well, we don't do that. It's geography. Until you realise what Amazon Prime is just a promotion of their delivery service, what you buy on Amazon.
Yeah.
So of course it's national. When Netflix
That's what you can see. Hang on.
That's,
Hello?
I should say it's back now, shouldn't it?
Can you hear anything now? Hello? Let's see, back up recording. Can anybody hear? You see, I can hear there.
Where?
Hello?
Yes.
Is it clear, Steve? Is it clear or is it muffled? Okay, we'll go with we'll see if it works from this. We'll do 5 more minutes to save everybody. Just echoing. Hang on a sec.
You're back.
Said that right. Hello, is that better? Tell me if that sounds a little bit better. There's no echo. Steve, is that sound better, yes or no?
Just repeating twice, mate. So there's a bit of an echo.
There's an echo.
Echo.
Echo. I don't think we need you echoing. Tell me if this is better, right? 1, 2, 3. Was the first 1, 2, 3 better, or the second 1, 2, 3 better? Oh, Graham's saying it's good.
We'll carry on then.
I'm just gonna carry on from there. If it's echoing, it's echoing. Right, John, we'll do the last couple.
Okay.
Where are we? Are you surprised there's been no mention of Jag's testimonial yet?
I was surprised that it seemed to go as late as it went. And clearly Jags did a carefully constructed "I'm off," which had a little bit of a slant on. They've only just told me.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I'm not surprised now, because I'm assuming he's going to get one.
Yeah.
But perhaps it'll depend on where he goes. Has he got? I mean, I've been away. Has he fixed himself up?
Not at the moment. I mean, the favourites are Sheffield United, which I think everybody.
Simply because of where he came from.
Yeah, but I think when he done his announcement video or his announcement Instagram thing, they were one of the first to reply. Sheffield United with a picture of the ground and a hand waving, so which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll hear something when it's finalised that where he's going.
Yeah. So I think they'll definitely give him one. I mean, it looks like as well, Leighton Baines is about to, according to all the rumours, that he's about to sign a 12 month. Yeah, another extension.
That's like been for ages. We've known he's been offered it, haven't we?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel as though Baines, I want him to. I think he's too good to sit on the bench, so I'd like him to go and play somewhere. But from a purely selfish point of view, it's good having him in the squad, and it's good to keep. That continuity. With losing Jagielka and Baines, then it means it's only Coleman. I think probably from.
It depends on what he thinks his future is. If he wants to get into coaching and stuff, maybe he'll do a bit of that as well.
Yeah. It's all very interesting. All very interesting as we go through. Volume's too low, so basically we're gonna end it there, because quite clearly something has happened with the volume on this stream. But you know what? I think
more questions, because if there's like only one left.
I think we've done an hour.
Okay.
I don't think there's any questions anymore. We've done an hour, so I think we've had a good go.
Okay.
We've answered a lot of questions. It's been a pleasure, John. We're gonna get John back, definitely, because there's a lot of people that want to talk to him. Okay, last one from Stuart Lowe. Last one. What if the plans come out in July and there is a massive consensus that it's dreadful? I have faith in mice, but what if?
The club will be shocked, I think, and Dan Meese will be shocked.